Breaking news, President Trump fires back after the bombshell. The investigation underway. Authorities now pouring through communications, phone calls between several of President Trump's associates and people suspected of being Russian intelligence. Why were they repeatedly in touch with the Russians before the election? Also tonight, the president lashes out after firing his national security advisor, General Michael Flynn. Tonight, the president does not blame the general, instead taking aim at the U.S. intelligence community. The controversial cabinet pick who suddenly pulled his name today after video surfaces of his ex-wife once on Oprah talking about domestic violence. The passenger plane and the emergency landing, what did it hit on the runway? And here in California tonight, the new storm hours away and new concern over America's tallest dam.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Los Angeles.
Good evening from California tonight, where there is new concern this evening over America's tallest dam with a major storm set to hit. But we begin with the swirling storm in Washington. Tonight, the new reports that members of President Trump's campaign team before the election were repeatedly in contact with people believed to be Russian intelligence. And the question now, why was there any contact with the Russians leading up to a presidential election? At the White House today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the president would not take questions on these reported communications between his campaign aides and the Russians. But he did defend the national security advisor he just fired, General Michael Flynn, blaming the firing not on Flynn, but on U.S. intelligence and their leaks. ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl leading us off.
Today, President Trump welcomed the third foreign leader to the White House in less than a week, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But overshadowing the visit, the sudden firing of the man at the center of his national security team, Michael Flynn. Just 24 hours ago, the White House said Flynn was ousted because he had lost the confidence of the president after deceiving the vice president about his conversations with the Russian ambassador. But today,
General Flynn is a wonderful man. I think he's been treated very, very unfairly by the media, as I call it, the fake media in many cases. And I think it's really a sad thing that he was treated so badly.
Yet it was the president who fired him. And just yesterday, his press secretary said Trump did so decisively.
The evolving and eroding level of trust as a result of this situation and a series of other questionable instances is what led the president to ask for General Flynn's resignation.
The so-called series of questionable instances included Flynn's failure to tell the truth about his conversations with the Russian ambassador in December. On the same day, the Obama administration slapped new sanctions on Russia for meddling with the election. But now the president is expressing more outrage about leaks in the newspapers than about Flynn's behavior, blasting the intelligence agencies that now report to him, tweeting, "The real scandal here is that classified information is illegally given out by intelligence like candy. Very un-American."
I think it's very, very unfair what's happened to General Flynn, the way he was treated, and the documents and papers that were illegally, I stress that, illegally leaked. Very, very unfair.
But during the presidential campaign, then candidate Trump reveled in leaks when they were about someone else, Hillary Clinton, even praising a group responsible for some of the biggest leaks of classified intelligence in all of American history.
WikiLeaks, I love WikiLeaks.
It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
This WikiLeaks is like a treasure trove.
Today, the president refused to answer questions about reports that several people on his campaign team were in contact before the election with suspected Russian intelligence officials. At his press conference, he called only on conservative news outlets. No Russia questions, but we tried.
Mr. President, can you guarantee that nobody on your campaign had any contacts with the Russians? Mr. President, any questions on Russia? Mr. President.
So tonight, the question still looms. During the transition, ABC's Cecilia Vega tried to pin him down.
You or anyone in your campaign have any contact with Russia leading up to or during the campaign? Nothing at all.
No, Trump said, not at all. And after General Flynn was fired, we asked Sean Spicer.
Can you still say definitively that nobody on the Trump campaign, not even General Flynn, had any contact with the Russians before the election?
My understanding is that what General Flynn has now expressed is that during the transition period, well, we were very clear that during the transition period, he did speak with the ambassador.
I'm talking about during the campaign.
I don't have any, there's nothing that would conclude me that anything different has changed with respect to that time period.
Turmoil in the White House, combined with the National Security Council shakeup, has some key Republicans in Congress worried about the chaos and dysfunction in the West Wing.
You don't know who's in charge. This Flynn situation, the whole environment is one of dysfunction in the Trump administration.
And the concern is not limited to Washington. Speaking at a conference, the general in charge of the military's Special Operations Command said, quote, "Our government continues to be in unbelievable turmoil. I hope they sort it out soon because we're a nation at war."
And John Carl with us live tonight from the White House. And John, President Trump there not taking any questions today on those reported communications between several of his associates before the election and Russia. But tonight the White House did announce the president will hold a rally this weekend, a sort of campaign rally, John?
Not a sort of campaign rally, an official campaign rally, David. They are saying this will be run by his re-election campaign. It's going to be down near Orlando, Florida. A lot of people don't realize this, but he actually filed paperwork with the Federal Elections Commission on Inauguration Day to set up his 2020 re-election campaign.
All right, the campaign rally planned for this weekend. John Carl leading us off tonight. John, thank you. Tonight, U.S. intelligence continues to pour through those communications. Who are they looking at? And even if members of the Trump team did not know they were talking to Russian intelligence, why were they talking to Russia at all? ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas in Washington.
Tonight, that intensive investigation underway. Authorities scouring communications and meetings between Trump associates and people suspected of being Russian intelligence.
It's highly disturbing, and it raises more and more questions that Congress has a sworn obligation to get to the bottom of.
Among those drawing scrutiny beyond General Flynn, Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, who spent time consulting for Russian interests in the Ukraine. Manafort, when asked about reports of communications with the Russians before the election, told ABC News Today he vigorously denies any wrongdoing, saying he had no known contacts with Russian government officials. Critics want to know if any of Trump's associates encouraged the Russians to meddle in the election. So far, the FBI has found no direct cooperation between Trump associates and the Russian government aimed at influencing the 2016 election. And authorities cannot yet say for certain if Trump associates knew they were dealing with suspected Russian intelligence, who often pose as business, political, and academic leaders. And even if they didn't know, many asking why so much contact with the Russians before an American election at all. Hillary Clinton was targeted by the Russians. And tonight, Secretary Clinton's former campaign manager says the Trump team needs to explain any phone calls at all.
It is extremely strange to me that a member of any American presidential campaign would be speaking to Russian intelligence officials.
But even Republicans say the matter deserves a much deeper look.
And, we're looking for facts, and we're looking for evidence, and we're looking for details, and we're going to go in the direction that those facts and details take us.
And Pierre Thomas with us live tonight from our Washington bureau. And so tonight, Pierre, we now know that the FBI was in fact looking into these reported communications between Trump's associates and the Russians. At the same time, they were looking into Hillary Clinton's emails again. That second look turned up nothing. But many are asking tonight, why did the FBI make the Clinton investigation public and not the Trump investigation?
David, FBI Director Comey said he commented on the Clinton investigation because of the unusual situation of a hotly contested campaign and a presidential candidate who was the target of that investigation. Comey has not given a reason for revealing the investigation involving some of Trump's associates. David?
Pierre Thomas with us tonight. Pierre, thank you. And after the firing of the National Security Advisor tonight, a controversial cabinet pick pulling his name. The president's labor secretary nominee bowing out following intense scrutiny, including a video of his ex-wife, once on the Oprah Winfrey Show, talking about domestic abuse. She later retracted the claim, and ABC's Mary Bruce on Capitol Hill tonight.
Tonight, the first Trump cabinet pick to go down. Facing mounting opposition from Republicans, Andrew Puzder announced after careful consideration and discussions with my family, I am withdrawing my nomination for Secretary of Labor. The fast food CEO was plagued from the start. Under fire for his personal life, this 1990 tape screened for senators on Capitol Hill. his ex-wife in disguise on Oprah, describing what she claimed was their abusive marriage.
That was the most frightening thing, was leaving, because once I made that break and once I made it public, and remember, my ex-husband was a public figure. Everyone knew him and knew what he was doing. And once I made that public, he vowed revenge. He said, "I will see you in the gutter."
She later recanted her allegations, and Puzder has strongly denied them. Professionally, Puzder's been accused of disparaging workers, once suggesting he prefers robots to human labor, saying they're always polite, they always upsell, they never take a vacation. Also taking aim at his own fast food employees.
My first memo was no more people behind the counter unless they have all their teeth.
Today, it became increasingly clear many Republicans were on the fence. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina tweeting he had developed serious concerns about Puzder's nomination. That nomination now dead, and tonight Democrats are celebrating.
You fought this pretty hard.
Well, it's not just a victory for me, it's a victory for millions of workers. That this is the Secretary of Labor, not the Secretary of Corporate America.
Mary Bruce joins us live from Capitol Hill tonight. And Mary, President Trump still has a number of unconfirmed cabinet nominees, and tonight Democrats now have their sights set on another one of them.
Democrats are raising concerns about Mick Mulvaney for budget director, but so far just one Republican is opposing. That vote is up tomorrow. David?
Mary Bruce with us again tonight. Thank you, Mary. And as we said, all of this playing out as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was visiting Washington, President Trump making some unexpected statements on the search for peace in the Middle East today, appearing to be willing to consider breaking with long-standing U.S. policy on a two-state solution and putting Netanyahu on the spot, calling on him to hold back on building new settlements. At one point, Netanyahu joking in response using the title of the president's book, The Art of the Deal. ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega tonight.
A red carpet White House welcome for Benjamin Netanyahu's arrival. Two leaders and friends. But inside the East Room, President Trump putting Israel's prime minister on the spot over settlements.
As far as settlements, I'd like to see you hold back on settlements for a little bit. We'll work something out, but I would like to see a deal be made. It might be a bigger and better deal than people in this room even understand. That's a possibility. So let's see what we do.
Let's try it.
Doesn't sound too optimistic, but that's he's a good negotiator.
That's the art of the deal.
I also want to thank
the president also bucking a decades-old U.S. policy of peace through a two-state solution.
So I'm looking at two-state and one state, and I like the one that both parties like. I'm very happy with the one that both parties like. I can live with either one.
Right there in the front row, daughter Ivanka and her husband Jared Kushner.
Can I reveal, Jared, how long we've known you? Well, he was never small. He was always big.
And now that old family friend is the Trump administration's point person to achieve peace in the Middle East.
And Cecilia Vega joined us live tonight from the White House briefing room. And Cecilia, we heard the president there saying he could live with either a one-state or a two-state solution. Any clarification tonight from the White House on that?
No clarification tonight, David, and there are a number of unanswered questions about what a starting point on Middle East peace talks might look like under this new approach, David.
Cecilia Vega with us tonight. Cecilia, thanks as always. And there is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Wednesday from California. The new storm moving in here and new concern over America's tallest dam. We'll take you there. The evacuated families who returned home now being warned again to be on alert. The concern tonight. There's also news this evening about the accused female assassin, the new surveillance at the airport, and the emergency landing right here in the U.S. moments after takeoff. The passenger plane, what did it hit on the runway? We'll be right back.
My friends think doing this at my age is scary. And I say, not if you protect yourself. What is scary? Pneumococcal pneumonia. It's a serious disease. My doctor said the risk is greater. Now that I'm over 50! Yeah!
Just one dose of the Prevnar 13 vaccine can help protect you from pneumococcal pneumonia, an illness that can cause coughing, chest pain, difficulty breathing, and may even put you in the hospital. Prevnar 13 is approved for adults 18 and older to help prevent infections from 13 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. You should not receive Prevnar 13 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. If you have a weakened immune system, you may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most common side effects were pain, redness and swelling at the injection site, limited arm movement, fatigue, headache, muscle pain, joint pain, less appetite, vomiting, fever, chills, and rash.
Get this one done.
Ask about Prevnar 13 at your next visit to your doctor's office or pharmacy.
It's Mattress Firm's President's Day sale. Save up to $500 store-wide on all the best brands. And through Monday, get free delivery when you finance your adjustable set with 0% APR for 72 months. Only at Mattress Firm.
My hygienist said to think of my teeth like an apple. They have to be great on the inside and outside. To strengthen both, she said to go pro.
Go pro with Crest Pro Health Advanced. It strengthens teeth inside and is better at strengthening the outside than Colgate Total.
Best checkup ever.
I'm out of data again. I can't work out without my music.
You need to switch to Sprint. I got unlimited data, talk, and text for $50 a month.
Get unlimited data, talk, and text. First line is $50 a month. Add a second line for $40, and the third, fourth, and fifth lines are free. That's 5 lines for $90. Switch to Sprint.
For lower back pain sufferers, the search for relief often leads here. Today, there's drug-free Aleve Direct Therapy, a high-intensity TENS device that uses technology once only in doctors' offices. For deep penetrating relief at the source, Aleve Direct Therapy.